Hi everybody, it's Dave from Wing Chun 9 Force. Today I'm starting on a bit of a dream project for me, which is to read out and discuss this wonderful book, the Book of Wing Chun Volume 1. I also intend to go into the Book of Wing Chun Volume 2. They're both by Wong Siu Keung, CHU Tin, who taught my Sifu Jim Fung, and also taught the other senior teachers that I learned from. So I'll start with the editor's notes, which has a very interesting rundown of who Siu Keung was and different things that are pertinent. So I hope you enjoy this. So let's go. Grandmaster Yip Man used to say, when well versed in Sil Nim Dao, the other parts of Wing Chun training, including CHU and bilingually, will all be well grasped and performed too. This reveals how important Sil Nim Dao is. Master Chu Shong Tin was called the King of Sil Nim Dao by Yip Man, signifying Master Chu's solid and deep foundation in Wing Chun. I'll just make a note here. In this translation, those familiar terms, Sil Nim Dao, bilingually, CHU and other things have been sort of literally translated, which I think is very useful. But for the sake of not confusing people too much, I'm going to stick to what most of us English speakers know as these simple Cantonese terms, even though we probably don't pronounce them very well. We all know straight away what it is. There is a translation page later that I'll read, which gives you an idea of how these things have been translated, and it's very useful. Anyway, Master Chu came to Hong Kong in 1949. He was employed by the Eating Shop Workers General Union. I used to read that as the Restaurant Workers Union, as the secretary in November 1950. Through this job, he came across Grandmaster Yip Man, who had just started to teach Wing Chun in the Union. On the 1st of January 1951, Chu Shong Tin was officially admitted to become a disciple of Yip, setting out his journey of Wing Chun training with Grandmaster Yip Man. Both of them came to Hong Kong alone. In order to take care of each other and for the convenience of training, Chu moved to live in the Union with Yip in 1951. This arrangement lasted for 5 years. Chu Shong Tin finally moved to reside in the Wan Chai district on Hong Kong Island for work. For more details on how Chu and Yip met each other and the anecdotes about their daily life, please read the essay authored by Chu, which is called The Encounter with My Respectable Teacher Yip Man. All right, just skipping slightly forward. Master Chu Shong Tin does not look like a martial arts practitioner in appearance. Yet he is disciplined, self-restricted, tolerant of others, and magnanimous, always displaying the virtues of a respectable noble. He never talks about colleagues. On the contrary, when others say malicious things and criticisms about him, he just smiles them away with unruffled calm. All this has manifested. All this is a manifestation of his admirable martial arts virtues. So just to quickly go over that, it says that he was disciplined, self-restricted. I think that means he just doesn't play up much. He's a good man. He's tolerant of others, and he's magnanimous, which means he's very generous and big-hearted. And he always displays the virtues of a respectable noble. Now, we don't really have so much anymore that tradition of a respectable noble in the West. When I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, there was still quite a a connection with chivalry and those old ideas of being a gentleman and that sort of thing, and a noble person. But I think in the East, in China, a respectable noble, it's quite well portrayed in those Yip Man movies. He's not a kung fu master who's always boasting and picking fights and taking people on. He's basically an intelligent, scholarly gentleman. And as it says there, he never talked about he never talked against his colleagues. On the contrary, when others said malicious things about him and criticised him, he just smiled with unruffled calm. Now, isn't that even more true now with the internet and the sort of trolling we get used to? It's a bit buggy in here tonight. The way people hook into each other online, it's quite ignoble, and doesn't matter what you do, what sort of big heart you might have and what you're really trying to achieve. There's always going to be people who will feel like saying nasty things to you or say things about you. You can't always win, but that doesn't really matter. And here's a perfect example of what to do by our Grandmaster, who just smiled and was unruffled. It says, all this manifested his admirable martial arts virtues. So these are old-fashioned virtues of a martial artist, and in this day of cage fighting and being super fit and, to my old-fashioned view, a lot of boasting and bragging, we need to get back to that, about being really good fighters, but gentlemen, reserved people, not boastful and braggy. Anyway, it moves on to say, moreover, CHU is passionate and devoted in propagating the Wing Chun martial art. He never holds back in explaining lucidly and demonstrating directly to learners. He authored the essence of Wing Chun into this book, the Book of Wing Chun, and he further published a DVD entitled The Chu Tin Wing Chun in 2002, sharing his valuable experience and vividly demonstrating the power possible in the art. Now, this is a really good sentence. It says, such openness in unreservedly sharing his precious enlightenment in the art of Wing Chun to all, carrying the heritage forward through generations, is indeed a role model for every martial arts learner. Is indeed a role model which every martial arts learner should admire. Okay, now, in Chu's view, in Chu Shongtin's view, there is no secret in the Wing Chun art that would be too precious to open to all, and there is no place for the claim of closed-door secret training at all. Now, that warms my heart because, believe it or not, I've sometimes agonised about sharing freely stuff that some could consider secret. Not that I think I like to share with people, but I've sometimes thought, am I doing the right thing? You know, am I going to help create the next Darth Vader by giving away too many secrets? But here it's been clearly said that in my Sigong Chu Shongtin's view, there is no secret in the Wing Chun art that is too precious to open to all, and there is no place for the claim of closed-door secret training. So the sort of stuff, oh, sorry, can't teach you that. That's, you know, if you learn that, we'll have to kill you, or you'll have to sell your firstborn child to us or something like that. He, the great master of Wing Chun, believed that you should share it. So I'm going to share to the best of my ability. Now, the next says, in his view, there is no secret in Wing Chun. Sorry, I've said that. it says, a Chinese painting master creates his painting, a Chinese calligrapher master authors his calligraphies, paints his calligraphies. Would their artistic skills be mimicked if they were purposely copied by someone when creating and authoring their works? Meaning, if you just copied one of these great Chinese masters, like the master who painted this incredible masterpiece behind me, and it is a true masterpiece, would I just be able to copy that and it would be just the same? Well, I can tell you, as a very experienced Western artist, you couldn't do it. It just constantly boggles my mind what's in that piece of art. Maybe I'll talk about it sometime. So he's saying, if you could just imitate skills by observation, then that's not the artistic essence. These are just ready recipes. So, you know, paint by numbers and that sort of thing can make something that looks nice to the untutored eye, but it lacks the qualities that make it a masterpiece. He says that propagating artistic skills is different. Apart from a clear and comprehensive elaboration on all the basics and methods, the endowments of the learner also count, meaning some people have a gift for things and some don't. And I always thought I didn't have a gift for Wing Chun. I actually thought I was one of the crappier students at my Sifu school, and when I did the gradings, I didn't really do that well. I remember in my grade 3 exam, I had a big hangover, so that sort of was part of why I didn't do so well. But really, I never thought I had a bit of a gift for this art, but I must admit over the last several years, I feel like, I'm not saying I'm really gifted, but I'm definitely made for this art. It suits my mind, suits my mindset, suits my personality. I feel very lucky and honoured to have learnt this art and to continue learning it. He's saying there that, you know, there's not only all the foundational ideas, but it also depends on you and how much you want it, how open-minded you are, and you really needed to be open-minded in Wing Chun. You need to be open-minded. He also says it's equally important that the student persist in training and study and have the continuing guidance from a trainer. Now, this is one of those things that people often talk about on the internet too. Can you learn Wing Chun from videos such as this? Well, of course you bloody well can. Jesus. Can you learn something from a book? Nah. Yes, you can. You know, I actually was given a book by a mate when I was 17, a book of archery. That's the only archery training I ever had. I just read that book, bought myself a bow, I did what the guy said, I followed right through the book. A few years ago, I was in an archery contest at a sort of a medieval fair, and there was a lot of people who were good archers, and there was a girl there who was a bit of a master archer, and she watched me draw and loose, and I shot this like a target ball through the heart, and she said to me, "Wow, where did you learn to shoot?" And I said, "Oh, out of a book back in the 70s. He goes, "You got really perfect style, you know, really, you know, I'd like everyone to watch you as you shoot." And the stupid thing was nobody had ever taught me to use a bow. I just read about it, and it was a good book, and he explained well. So I do believe you can go a long way in Wing Chun from books, and especially from videos. It's almost like you're there, you're virtually there. Obviously, it's vital to have feedback, which is something I can't give you because I can't see you right now. It's a bit of a trap, because if you don't have a CHU Shong Tin trained teacher who's good near you, then the other Wing Chun that you might strike will have quite a different approach, and that probably will conflict with what we're teaching. And I'm not putting them down at all. They're all Wing Chun. They're terrific fighters, but our approach to the internal side is quite an art, and yeah, you have to sort of have been trained in it to understand what it's about. So you still can go a long way, and especially if you have already come a fair way, you'll learn a lot from listening to me and from watching the other few good people out there who post videos, and especially, you know, post videos of Qigong teaching. All right, so he finishes off with that part saying, these conditions are essential, and this is the reason for many martial arts masters, Chinese calligraphers and Chinese painting masters not necessarily succeeding in passing down their artistic skills to their close relatives. That's the real traditional way in China and Japan and other countries. These arts tend to be for the family, but the family members don't always care less. You know, it can be disappointing that your family members don't always want to learn, and they might want to learn, but they just might be not made for it. You know, they might have the mindset. Sometimes also people reach a certain level, especially with this art, with Wing Chun Mind Force ideas. There is a point where a lot of people go this far and no further. This is all getting a bit weird for me. I don't know what you're talking about. They find it strange to delve into the subconscious mind, and I can understand that. So yeah, we find our way in this Wing Chun, and we also find our level. Okay, so I think I'll leave it there. This is going to be fun, and I'm really keen to get on to CHU. I've been talking about Sil Nim Dao for quite a long time, but pardon me, I'm going to go through this book because I really want this book to become known, and at the moment I'm not quite sure who the official seller of the book is in Australia or Hong Kong. I've got some ideas, but I'm going to confirm that, and I'll put it in my links below for those who want to get them. Okay, thanks for listening once again, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.